Hey, it's Thursday, you guys, also known as Friday Junior. We are
Friday
ready.
Eve.
We're almost there, guys. Almost.
Almost there. And Felicia, I love that you're wearing a tank top today because it's going to be hot outside.
Yes, yes. It's a whole dress situation, but I,
Oh.
I still have on sweatpants. So
I was like, you wore a dress today? What?
it's a whole dress, but with sweat.
It's work from home professional.
I love it. I love it. Hey, let's take a live look outside. Going to be another pretty day, but definitely a warmer day out there. A live look at Grant Park. You can see blue skies, a little bit of a haze in the air. So yesterday I mentioned it was an air pollution action day. It is again today. That's going to be in effect until midnight tonight. So if you are sensitive and have some lung issues, you might want to limit your time outdoors today. We're looking at a high temperature today, about 90 degrees. We're going to have mostly clear skies, with some clouds maybe later on this afternoon. It's going to be hot out there today, so be prepared. We got another nice day again on Friday, even a little bit hotter and possibly a little bit more humid, and the chance of some showers overnight, late Friday into Saturday. Saturday now looking at warm, humid, some variable cloudiness out there, but a possibility of some showers and isolated thunderstorms, showers then overnight into Sunday. Father's Day, unfortunately, going to be a little wet, not a complete washout, that's for sure. T-storms, thunderstorms, and showers, definitely a strong possibility. In the afternoon, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with just the chance of an isolated shower out there in the afternoon, but you should get some time in outside on Sunday if you would like to. On Monday, 86 is, I don't think that's right. I just noticed that. Yeah, this is not the right one as I look up, or the numbers are wrong. So ignore the numbers on the page and I'll get them fixed. Slight chance of some showers there on Monday. Tuesday, we're looking at periods of sun, some showers as well. And we'll get you the full 7-day forecast coming up in our next hour at 11 o'clock.
But it'll be warm and humid. That's what we need to know.
We do
warm
know.
and humid, yes. Especially as we go into the weekend and come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks a lot, Amy. Well, there was some political theater that went down in the Senate yesterday with Illinois Senator Dick Durbin. He had to apologize to Senator Tim Scott after the South Carolina lawmaker was offended. He's the only African-American GOP legislator. And Durbin chastised him, saying that he was calling for token police reform legislation. Of course, token being a word that has a lot of racial connotations. Take a listen to what Durbin said.
What we say on the Democratic side is we cannot waste this historic moment, this singular opportunity. Let's not do something that is a token, half-hearted approach. Excuse me. Let's focus instead on making a change that'll make a difference in the future.
So Senator Scott did not like that. However, it was very clear Durbin was talking about the issue of reform and not Scott personally. Still, Scott took the opportunity to respond. Take a listen to that.
To think that on this day, as we try to make sure that fewer people lose confidence in this nation, to have the senator from Illinois refer to this process, this bill, this opportunity to restore hope and confidence and trust from the American people, from African Americans, from communities of color, to call this a token process hurts my soul for my country.
Now, instead of arguing that Scott was over-exaggerating, Durbin actually apologized to him personally, man-to-man, sought him out on the House floor, and said he meant no offense at all. Still, I think it gets to the heart of this issue that I think we kind of talked about yesterday. When it comes to police reform, how much is enough? Like, some of these reforms, some people don't think they're going far enough. Durbin being one of them, not thinking the GOP legislation is going far enough there. So interesting battle to watch, but it's kind of, I think, good to see the two apologize at least and kind of.
Yeah, I'm glad they can apologize and move on. We don't have time for people to get personal or for us to get off course in what we're trying to do and move things forward. I didn't think it was the worst. He was talking specifically about the legislation, not about Representative Scott specifically. But regardless, I'm glad they could get over it and move on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, poor choice of words. And it almost appears that Durbin realized that as soon as he said it with the cough, like, I got to rethink that real quickly. He realized that was an poor choice. And so I think he handled it well by apologizing to him and not coming out and saying he was over dramatizing it. Just apologize and move on. Smart move.
Yeah. So down in Atlanta, police have actually been calling in sick to protest some of the charges that just came down. We got charges against former officer Garrett Rolfe and Devin Brosnan. They were both involved in the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks. Prosecutors actually brought a felony murder charge against Rolfe, also charged with 10 other offenses. Brosnan is currently on administrative leave and was charged with aggravated assault and some other offenses as well. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms came out and said that she would hope that the police right now would lean into their duty and show up for the cause. Of course, with a lot of them calling in sick, they were able to cover the shift, but they were left in a scramble. Officials were left in a scramble trying to make sure that the entire police shift was covered there.
Yeah, the blue flu, as it's often referred to, is not something uncommon. It's how the police department has for years supported one another, somewhat silently, somewhat not silently. I think given the circumstances surrounding the shooting, I think it was in poor taste. Also, given the circumstances, what happened after it, that the police department has a responsibility and probably in that moment should have been showing up twice as much instead of backing off.
Yeah,
So
I just feel
an unfortunate thing.
I just feel for all the other people on the shift that have to step up and cover that shift, you know,
Right.
People who weren't scheduled to work or are working doubles. I mean, that's not fair to the people that do show up.
Yeah, I think it gets into that blue wall of silence that people talk about. And it's sad because I wish you'd see police speak out against, police misconduct instead of kind of standing in solidarity, whether with wrong or right? Like, you don't have to just like lock arms with every single thing that your coworkers do, right?
Right.
I get you want to be a team player, but there's right and wrong. So it's unfortunate to see.
We always say there's a few bad apples, but as fellow police officers, they should have a responsibility to call out those bad apples to help their own department and their own job look better, right? And work better.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, our guest this morning is Executive Director of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. Ed Wojcicki is joining us to talk a little bit more about police reform in general and what needs to be done. Because there's so many different theories being thrown out there, and now we're talking about legislation. Mr. Wojcicki, thank you for joining us.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Let's start by talking about the term defunding police, which is unfortunately, I think, been misunderstood by a lot of the population. But let me get your thoughts, whether you think that is one of the better ways to handle the change, or do you think it should change elsewhere?
I think ultimately the change is elsewhere. The defund the police really means two things. For some people, it means let's get rid of the police. Let's don't call the police anymore for hardly anything. I don't think that's the direction we're going to go. But for other people, they're saying, you know what? A lot of times police go and they're dealing with a mental health crisis, or they're dealing with a lost child or a senior citizen who has wandered off. Maybe we should call somebody else for that. It remains to be seen how that would actually be carried out, but there's some value in putting more money into these other services.
I would like to see the police officers and representatives of police officers come to the table and not be so forthright and, as Brandon just said, locking arms and putting up this united front. It just seems like it would serve them as well as everyone so much better. As you just mentioned, the circumstances that they're met with. My goodness, I think we can all agree that that's not an easy job. The circumstances that they're met with, if we could come and bring solutions to the table to help them and to better support them, I think that would be a better step in the right direction.
I think you hit the nail on the head. And I personally think the solution lies more in relationship building than trying to figure out exactly what policy to develop. When you say come to the table, here's something that a lot of people don't know. In the last 4 years, our leadership has been side by side with the state NAACP, and we have developed 10 shared principles. We keep trying to promote these 10 shared principles. They involve valuing life, showing everyone with dignity and respect, de-escalation. And I have been around the state with the leaders of the NAACP. We've been to 21 cities. We've had more than 1,000 people in our conversations. It has really been eye-opening for us and for the NAACP leaders and the youth, and they're all saying, you know what, we need more conversations like this, and we couldn't agree more.
With the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, there's been a lot of attention to some tactics used by police and some efforts to get rid of those. What are your thoughts on banning chokeholds and no-knock warrants?
Oh, you know, chokeholds. Here's something else that a lot of people don't know. A law was passed in Illinois in 2015. They call it the Police Improvement Act. It was a response to Ferguson. And this law includes a ban on chokeholds. So in Illinois, I don't think this would have happened. And now nobody's being trained in chokeholds anymore. The only thing that we would have to be careful about is, you know, sometimes there is a really bad fight, and it might be that someone would have to put his arm around somebody's neck because his life was in danger. Now, that's not very often, but to say a total ban, we would basically go along with that, and we're fine with that because we don't train in that anymore unless somebody's life is in danger or somebody else's life is in danger.
I recently read an article that really compared the different police departments in the US versus Finland and Germany and some of the other countries, and the backgrounds that the officers have are exponentially more well-trained. A lot of them went to college for 2 years, a special police college, and were required to train for 4 years before they're allowed out on the streets. And then you looked at the numbers, the number of police-involved shootings or brutality complaints, and they were significantly less. Do you think more training and education really could be a big change for police departments?
We're all about more training, yes. And in fact, we are promoting de-escalation training. You're seeing more de-escalation training around all parts of Illinois. In Illinois, we recently increased the number of hours that a person in the academy has to have from 400 to 560 hours. And so a person can never have enough training. And there's a number of things that are required every year or every 3 years. You know, unfortunately, some people just don't get it. And there probably are. There's a very, very small number of officers who are allowed to go through the academy and then they become officers. And you also see the phrase "a few bad apples." And
right.
While I don't really like to use that, that happens to be true. And we also need to make sure that those officers who are resigned or dismissed for doing something really bad never become officers again. We would like to see a regulation tightened to make it less likely or impossible for one of these people to come back to work. You know, as far as education goes, that's a big debate. I believe there's only one state in the country that requires a college education for a person to become a police officer. And ironically, that's Minnesota. And so, you know, what have you got? And so, it gets to be, do you want, sometimes a lot of military people want to get into law enforcement that don't necessarily have the education. We think it's something that's worth talking about, but we're not sure exactly what that educational requirement should be. But certainly, if they would say more training is required, we're all for it.
Mr. Wojcicki, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. Some good insight.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, and have a great day. If you'd like some more information on the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, you see the information there on your screen for Twitter, Facebook, the website, everything. ilchiefs.org/staff is the webpage. Thanks again.
All right.
Hopefully we're having more conversations like that.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
Very important.
So we're going to wrap up before our 11 o'clock show, but want to pass along some information. Mayor Lightfoot out speaking this morning about reopening the Lakefront Trail and the 606. She said that there needs to be some more work with the Army Corps of Engineers on funding to conduct studies to protect the lakefront. So now it will reopen. It is planned. It's supposed to reopen on Monday, I believe. Yes, reopening on Monday, and they're going to lift some of the restrictions on the 606. It will open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., but it will not be open all 24 hours a day like it was before. We're going to get some more details on her discussion. We'll have that for you coming up at 11 o'clock, as well as a little bit of fun. Yes?
Yes, we're actually going to talk to a pastor of a church in Northwest Indiana who has just reopened, and they're talking about that process and what it looks like and how it's been going as we ease deeper into phase 3 of it opening for Illinois. And then, of course, Indiana was a little bit different, how they handled everything. It's certainly something good that we need to break down.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Kyle Singles from Cameo, which allows people to get some personalized shout outs from 40,000 different actors, musicians, athletes, comedians, YouTubers, TikTok stars, you name it. We'll talk to them about the platform.
See you guys at 11.